Your test is only as good as the actionable nature of the output of the data that you get from it. And that's only valuable when compared to a constant. If you can't project your outcome, then your test is meaningless.
Yeah.
That's my bottom line. I don't know, Barry, I feel like I stepped on your toes there. I'm sorry. Why don't you take us home with what you're thinking?
No, I stepped on your toes about I was trying to get political for a second. It doesn't matter. So I agree with what you guys are saying, but I look at something maybe a little different. And we talked about this on Twitter a little bit, I think. Although I think we might have gotten our wires crossed.
It happens. That's why we're here.
We're talking about optimizing to purchase, right? If assuming this is an e-com situation.
Sure.
Right? We're optimizing to our end of, our main goal, right? Is whenever we can, you should be doing that. Typically, from my experience, there is a linear progression in the number of add to carts, to initiate checkouts, to purchases. It's not perfect. It's not always, but typically it's good enough. And I'm not going to wait until Facebook completes a learning phase of 50 purchases. If I can know that my add to cart after spending hundreds or thousands of dollars, whatever it is, the enough to have gotten X amount of add to carts, to know that this ad is not generating enough movement to let it continue. I know the numbers for most accounts I work on. I know what that looks like well before Facebook's completing a learning phase, because there's way more data. To Collin's point, you have way more data around add to carts than you do purchases. So it's not perfect, but I use that to be able to stop tests early. And I think when I say early, I am definitely not talking about 5,000 impressions. Like whatever you were saying, like that's way too small. But typically, if I can get 20, 30, 50 add to cart conversions, I'm in a zone where I can look at the cost per purchase at that point and the cost per add to cart at that point and know if I need to turn this off, if I need to crank this up, or if I just need to let it keep going to get more data. Because it's not perfect. I'm applying the logic of what y'all are talking about, but not as scientifically. And I'm very curious to hear your perspective.
That's actually a great point, and something that I talk with, especially people who have limited budgets. It's like,
right. Or not just limited budgets, but have a ton of creative to test for a large budget.
Yeah, it's like the further you go down the sort of like conversion chain, the smaller the data set becomes. And so like if you have a fairly consistent relationship across the steps, right? If your add to cart to purchase ratio is relatively stable over however large the data set is, like you can look at the higher up metric because you have a larger data set. You have it's just like it's better to optimize against because it's a better data set. Like you reach statistical significance more quickly. It's a higher confidence interval. Like it's just a better way to do it. So that's actually a great point. And one of those things that I say is like, we can't necessarily always get all the way down to purchase because you might not have enough budget to reach that. But you can optimize on something higher up and generally it'll, follow the same rules.